Ah, at last it's spring again. And we know it's spring because Harrogate Spring Show is coming. Of course, there's nothing scarier than that blank canvas. But after a bit of shifting around and a few false starts, a shape for the stand starts to appear. And then, we're off! And the effort was all worthwhile. It's a gold! For a final touch, we roped in Rob Hardy of Hardy's Cottage Plants to take the team shot. Our first evening visit was to Lumbeck Farm, one lovely sunny evening at the end of May. Although we weren't to know it at the time, this was going to be our only evening visit in lovely weather. I asked Lynn what she thought of Lumbeck Farm.
Well, this is just a very, very beautiful garden in a surprising place on top of a hill, and beautiful sunny day, but absolutely gorgeous, just really lovely plants, and you couldn't wish for a nicer setting.
And a lovely evening for looking at it.
And a lovely evening.
Hello, so this is, yes, Liz on car park duty in the rain with a cheery smile. So here we are at Windy Ridge, Jackie Giles Garden in Bolton, Percy. So this is Geranium Summer Skies. Looks absolutely beautiful. So hello, what do you think of this garden?
Absolutely incredible.
Is there anything that's really taken your eye?
Well, I've just bought one of the variegated Lavateras.
Beautiful.
And this just reminds me of where we've just been to in France.
Yes, it does. And there's the variegated Lavatera in the background there.
Yes.
And we swing past the euphorbia.
This is Jackie's east-west border. She's particularly pleased with the estate fencing that she had put in along the back instead of a hawthorn hedge.
And here the hardy planters have arrived. So they're all round the plants. And here we are at Bolton Percy churchyard. And that's where we're all going to be rewarded with tea and coffee at the end.
This cemetery garden was designed by Roger Brooke. It's no-dig policy. It's now gardened by Jackie and her team of helpers.
And some lovely cake.
Yeah. And they even have the heater on here and probably a heater down there.
What am I getting my camera out for? Because I'm Brian Hackett. And Brian, the batteries went again. Thank you very much. But I bought spares. Here's three lovely ladies. Oh, and a beautiful arrangement of pinks in the kitchen. Is that all? You're not going to send
Sorry, we're in the middle of a photo shoot.
Do you have anything to say to Brian?
Get on with
Where is it? This video.
We've got customers.
Pardon?
Is it a video?
Yes.
Oh.
You're all on candid camera. Nothing to say?
I'm single.
Well, that's quite enough Brian bashing, as I'm sure he'll agree. Now, let's get on with the holiday. This time, our intrepid adventurers were based in Southsea. Southsea doesn't get onto most maps, but it's just about here. First stop on the journey down was to Dumbleside. Sounds a bit Harry Potter.
Here are all the hardy planters arriving at our first garden with our leader here. So Judy, what do you think of this amazing waterside garden?
It is just an array of interesting colours and the leaf textures. If that's a tetrapanax with the cornus, it is just marvellous, the contrast in the colours and the shapes. The sun coming through the cornus is gorgeous. But, I mean, there's an array, the colours are rainbow, aren't they? This way I can come. Right, I shall follow. I don't know.
I'll get you to the top.
No, we can't. I know what I was going to say at this stage of
Got everybody's bags here.
You're the pack horse, are you?
Yeah, I'm the mule.
We'll see you later for the drugs.
This is really...
Have you been on a trek, Anne?
Really funny.
Now it's time for these trekkers to move on. Next stop, Hardy's Cottage Garden Plants.
So Diane, what have you got here?
I have got an Acanthus hungaricus, yes. I'll probably regret it forever because it's an Acanthus and you can never get rid of them. But I liked the colour of this and it has lovely purple flowers. And a Potentilla that I've never heard of as well, called hopwoodiana, which has got little pink and white flowers.
So here we are after a tiring visit to Hardy's Cottage Plants, almost at our destination, but flagging slightly.
Right, girls. Having fun at the seaside.
That's what you take, isn't it?
It shows a lot of linen that you've never shown before. You can do a lot of things at the seaside that you can't do in town.
You're enjoying it, remember?
Can you see mother with the legs all bare, paddling in the pumping into Powder Square, bobbing up and down in the water? It would make the policeman frown. You can do a lot of things at the seaside that you can't do in town. You can do a lot of things at the seaside that you can't do in town.
So here we are at the beginning of Sunday morning. And I think this is the owner heading towards us. The hardy planters are like ladies in a sweet shop. They're going mad. So what have we got?
Can you you film the sniff as she sniffs it.
Oh, right.
Now you see by her face, you getting the flavour? Everybody else had pushed off.
Yeah.
It's a square stem, so you can
Right, so Josie, what have you got and why?
Oh gosh, Clematis Broughton Star to grow over by Bordon and Bordon Thames, and then it'll just block out my name.
And the next stop is Wheatley House. The owner says she's much more of an artist than a plantswoman, but had a lot of fun creating this garden.
In a next border, because all your eye will go to the white, which is right. So
Yeah.
I love white, so I thought, okay, let's have a white and black border. And then I added red, because this is actually better in August, because all the cannas are up and all the dahlias are up, and that's probably better now, because of the delphiniums. And this is better in August, but that's a garden, isn't it?
Yes.
And then I've got, all the way around, I've got different colour schemes. That's my green. I wish mine grew like that.
Wonderful view of the south down. Yes, well, that's exactly.
It is quite clever, I think. This dark leaf foliage with the white flowers. I think that's really clever.
Yes, it goes well together. So here we have Anne sitting on the beautiful steps of Variegata. Now, Anne, why is this significant?
It's significant because I've tried to grow this so many times and lost it. I've just now bought a plant and I've got some steps like this at home, so I'm going to try and get it to grow there.
So this is what we're...
If I'm successful.
We look forward to that.
Next, Sandhill Farmhouse. His owner, Rosemary Alexander.
So, just tell you a little bit about my own background. I started to garden in Scotland. My mother was, like so many of us I think, my mother was a very keen gardener and she sort of encouraged me. We just gradually got on with it together. And then I went on to train as a landscape architect in Glasgow. In those days it was very difficult to find a job as a landscape architect, and I suppose I was what's nowadays called an intern. Anyway, I got paid nothing for the first 3 months, and then I think I went up to, what was it, something like £1 an hour after that.
Rosa Mundi.
Next up is Hambledon House, owned by Captain and Mrs. Hartlage. Some may know them as the parents of comedian Miranda Hart. Some may remember him as the captain of the ill-fated Coventry during the Falklands War.
this is a beautiful new tunnel. A lovely combination of a Versicolor and 2 elders. I've spotted 2 lively characters lurking in the bushes. Hello Lawrence, hello Geraldine.
Next day, our adventurers set sail at sultry South Sea Island, the Isle of Wight. Here's their ferry creeping up the murky waters of Wooden Creek to Fishbourne Harbour. First stop, Victoria and Albert's hideaway cottage, Osborne House.
Here is everyone arriving at Osborne House, and of course the first thing through the gate is the plant store. First plant in the garden.
This is the entrance to the walled garden. If it looks a bit grand, it's because it actually was the front porch of the house which stood on this site until Victoria and Albert turned up and knocked it down.
Right, we're trying to be intelligent with this group I've got here. What were you saying just then, Judith?
I was saying I like the fact they've got these labels that tell you when the plant was introduced into this country. I've never seen that before.
Very interesting.
This is a lovely one, isn't it?
The Thalictrum, yes.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
It's a Lysimachia ephemera.
Oh, is it?
And it's quite unusual. It likes dampish soil, and I've got it growing up through some geraniums and in amongst malleums and things.
One with the yellow
that goes
flowers.
mad. Well, this doesn't go mad. It's a bit more pumpy.
The heads look very piggish, but the tails
The
make
faces are a bit weird, aren't
Yeah. Do they have ears like that?
they? No.
No.
They have little pointy ears, don't they?
They should have asked me. I'm really good at making a pig's ear. The greenhouses were built in 1854 to the same design as the ones at Frogmore in Windsor.
So Judith, what is this that we have here?
It's a tool baggia.
It's very
I wouldn't
nice.
have known that if I hadn't joined the hardy classes.
So these are quite spectacularly large. We don't know what they are. They're quite
Not for the small dog.
tropical.
I think they're this, and it's got that very peculiar seed pod with the black.
Right, so here we have Salvia involucrata, Mrs. Pope. Quite an enormous plant. Salvia elegans, introduced in 1804.
Come on, couldn't have got Queen Victoria in there in one of her
This is to
criminals.
commemorate the love between Queen Victoria and Prince Albert and their love of the Isle of Wight.
Right, well, can we have a stand-in for Albert and Victoria?
You must be joking.
Oh, come on, quick. Come on. Good girls, game on. Hardy planters. Are you not going to sit down? Right. Oh, could you look meaningfully into one another's eyes? So I don't know if you can see it, but in the trees we've got some lovely picnic tables where we'll have our picnic that our leader Sue has so thoughtfully put together with her. Take 3, totally unscripted. Well, what did you...
That's not Prince Albert.
It looks more like King Neptune.
It's not, it's Brian Hackett.
I'd like to know what was in that tea. Moving swiftly on, Funakoshi is the home of Helen Mount, who used to be the HPS Conservation Officer. Helen's garden adjoins Highwood. Highwood belongs to Joan Crawford, who founded the Isle of Wight HPS group. I looked up Funakoshi, by the way. Apparently he was a master of karate.
My old neighbour has a name for things that just, would seed themselves and just grow. It's called a did grow, because it just did grow.
Oh, sweet.
It's a did grow.
That's sweet. I like that. I like this. Red clover, bees love that.
Wild meadow.
So back in the ferry to Portsmouth. Tuesday's first stop is Colmore House.
Cornice, white fountain.
Next stop, the 100-acre garden at Westdean. These gardens are the setting for Westdean College of Arts and Conservation. This magnificent pergola was designed by Harold Petto. At 300 feet long, it's one of the longest in the country. The River Levant flows through Westdean, forming these beautiful water gardens. Last visit on the last full day, Dale Park House.
View comes down the hill. was thinking, every time I see it, I think, bit weird. To me, it's a bit of a weird.
Yeah, it's
This
coming
colour
out.
is nice.
Is that Prince Charles?
Oh, is it? Oh, it won't be.
Or is it a bit early for?
I've no idea.
Pearl dessert.
No, pearl dessert.
No, it's not.
This isn't not pearl dessert, it's about that big.
And so we come to the last full day of the holiday. Time for a team photo. Who's got the ball? The long journey home starts with a surprise.
This is Waterperry Gardens. First thing you see, it's an open air amphitheatre. Geranium ibericum. Geranium sanguineum vastra. Thickness from Spinnaker. Rogers behind. This is Rosa up on the wall. Rather bright, Nyphophia. This is the silent garden. With Judy unable to open the gate behind me.
And so on to Cornerstones, the very, very last garden of the holiday.
It's a little bog garden. It's got Impatiens oviana.
So the holiday was over, but so was the settled weather. It rained for most of the evening during this visit to John and Marjorie Wheatley's garden, and now and again the sun did peek out.
So how are you enjoying this?
It's lovely, yes.
It's just
But the very next day, with weather slightly better, it's the day trip. So we're all off from Paxton Hall, first stop Kipling Hall. Kipling Hall was built in the 1620s by George Calvert, the Secretary of State to James I. Soon it's time to set off for our second stop of the day, Winton Park. Unfortunately, some roadworks on the A66 meant we spent a lot of time looking at the inside of the coach. Winton Park is the very opposite of Kipling Hall. It was created in the 1990s and is still being developed now.
I don't throw anything but to do with it. Oh, I bought.
Pretty. It is pretty. And it's not in your face. No.
I think this is that one I love, Acer Sharana, what something or other.
Acer what?
It's called Acer Sharani something or other, Arium.
I know.
Lovely.
Of course I didn't really, but I'm not telling Corinne that. And here's the rose garden. Quite unusual these days in that it contains just roses in the beds. townsfolk find themselves easily slipping into this grand manor.
The wine is especially delicious.
So what do you think of this?
Good. Quite comfortable.
Right, and what about the rest of the garden?
Yeah, that is dramatic.
Amazing, isn't it?
People like the perennials and the garden with all the red hot pokas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Ah, the perennial borders. You can see what David means. By the time we left Winton Park, the A66 was at a complete standstill. So it was late in the afternoon when we reached our final destination, Swale Cottage. The last evening visit of the summer took us deep into the far-flung southern reaches of the West Yorkshire HPS.
Now, here we have the lady herself. And this is Joyce, and this is her stunning garden. And here, wait a minute, it's Manuel. Manuel, behave. Well, he's dropped the tray and run. So, Preston, what would you like to say about this garden?
I think it's a credit to them. This terrain is probably the steepest garden I've ever been in, and what's normally a simple task is that much harder in a garden like this. One thing for sure is you don't want to forget anything and go back up for it.
The second visit of the evening was to another steep garden. This is Scape Lodge, precariously perched on top of Scapegoat Hill. The views from up here are fantastic, but so are the winds. If you're wondering why it's called Scapegoat Hill, no one really knows. Apparently it was originally called Slipcote Hill, and the name changed around 1820. And it was yet another showery night. But if you're going to borrow a landscape, don't mess about. And the last event of the year, the Harrogate Autumn Show. And this one will be the last in Harrogate. And once again, the weather was not on our side. Some torrential rain hampered our setting up on the first morning. And this was a change away from the secular stands we've had for the last few shows. But everything came together and we were delighted to find we won our second gold medal of the year. Delightful way to finish the last ever Harrogate Autumn Show in Harrogate. And that also signals the end of this year's season of 19. Hope you enjoyed it.